Today on the Videomaker Podcast, our guest is Tony Schnurr, aka Thick44 of Neebs Gaming. Neebs Gaming is an improv group, essentially, that makes gaming videos on YouTube. Their channel has 1.9 million subscribers and over 700 million video views. Recently, their channel was hacked and taken offline, and they've recovered. So we're having Tony on to tell us a story about what happened with that whole event. Before we get started, I just want to give the announcements up front. So first off, obviously, if you listen to this podcast and you enjoy it, we would love it if you subscribed and went over to iTunes and gave us a 5-star review. This is a new podcast, and that kind of thing really helps us get off the ground. Secondly, we just published Creator Handbook. All the recent articles from the most recent digital edition are now up on creatorhandbook.net. So if you're interested in running a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel or any kind of online media, then check out creatorhandbook.net. So with that, I'll say let's skip the ad and get right to the interview. Welcome to the Videomaker Podcast. I'm Mike Wilhelm, and with me, as always, to my right is Nicole Lajeunesse.
Hello.
And to my left is Chris Monlux.
What's happening?
And our special guest today, Tony Schnurr, aka Thick44 of Neebs Gaming.
Hi there.
Okay, let's jump right into it. So, Tony, maybe just to start, you can give our audience who has, maybe not heard of Neebs Gaming, what is the 30,000-foot view? Like, who is Neebs Gaming, and what is your role there?
Oh, wow. Okay. So Neebs Gaming, we do cinematic, comedic videos within video games. So we're a gaming channel, and we add a bit more production value than most gaming channels. I'm not, dissing any other gaming channels, but we add sound design. We usually have a spectator where we can get cinematic shots and make it look like a movie or TV show.
All right, and the reason we had you guys here, not only Chris is a big fan of your guys' channel, but also you guys were recently hacked, and I don't know if it's a catastrophe or what. You guys are back now, I guess. So what exactly happened there?
Well, we have an editor, and I'm not throwing him under the bus, but we have an editor. He has his own channel, and somebody reached out to him with a sponsored deal that seemed a little too good to be true. They're like, "Hey, would you want to review any of this editing software?" Or it was like photo editing software. And he jumped right on it. He downloaded the link, and when he downloaded that link, he was logged into our account. And that link had malicious software, and they took everything over. And so that's how we got hacked. And we believe a lot of the language was in Russian. I don't know if it was Russians. I'm not saying anything. I don't want to be targeted. Russians, I'm sure, are great people, but that's all I know is, it was like a Trojan virus. It took over our account and all our credentials. They were able to log in, get rid of all the account managers, and transfer partial ownership over to whatever company that they had. And they started running some sort of Bitcoin scam video that was streaming on both our channels. So we have Neebs Gaming, and then Hank and Jed was our first channel where we had a lot of animation. We all started in animation.
So how did you guys find out that you were hacked? Like, who found out first, and what was the initial reaction?
Who found out first?
Or how did you find out?
Well, I think it was the community. Like, it was pretty early in the morning, and I got a notification on my phone that said, "Hey, someone tried to log in from this IP address. Was it you?" And I chose no, thinking that because there's 5 of us on the channel, technically 8 because we have 3 other editors, that somebody might have tried to log in. But I just chose no. It was just a regular Google notification. But then I started getting a ton of alerts on the phone. I run all of our social media, as well as one of the editors and one of the actors on the show. But our community jumped right on it. And they're like, "Hey, what's going on? I think you guys were hacked. All your videos are gone," which they weren't actually gone. They were just hidden. So they didn't delete the videos that were there, thank God. But we do have a backup of all those, which, you should. If you're a creator, have a backup of everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's that morning I unsubscribed because I was like, "What's this crap? Like this Bitcoin? I didn't subscribe to this."
Right.
And then
you and a lot of people did.
And then I got the notification on Facebook, probably from you, and I went, "Oh crap! I got to go back there and resubscribe," and then just like this live video of someone trying to get me to click on a link. But that's so. then, so you guys found out once you lost control. How was it getting a hold of YouTube?
Oh, it was difficult at first. So we do have an agent, and he does have a contact over at Google. So he was able to get me some sort of communication within 24 hours, which is rare. In the past, when we've tried to contact YouTube, it's been hard to get a hold of them. And in their defense, they have so many creators, they have so many things going on. I'm sure it's hard to respond to everybody.
Yeah.
And so from the time we actually spoke with somebody at Google, it took about 4 days to actually gain complete control back over the channel where we could continue. No, we got the channel back, and then a couple days later, we were actually able to upload videos as we weren't able to before, because there were a lot of people reporting that this was a scam. So it blocked us from uploading content. So it was about a four day period of communication between us and YouTube. Big credit to our community who put a lot of pressure on them. And, obviously it's easy to complain about something when something goes wrong, but you have to take into consideration the other guys. Google's a huge company. They have a lot going on. And we just try to be patient with them and work with them best as we could. And they were pretty good considering how many people they have to deal with, Yeah,
totally. And I'm sure there's a lot of hacking attempts every day with every other channel. And you guys just happen to be a big one that let's hope they, would want to respond to that. But you guys, did you get any community strikes or anything like that from YouTube during the process that you've had to deal with since? Or was YouTube just allowed you guys to take over the channel again and as if nothing happened?
Well, the community strikes happened during the hackening, is what they called it. And that restricted us from uploading content even after we got the channel back. So there was a process with that for a couple of days where they had to remove those community strikes and allow us to upload content again. But everything's fine now. And, it seemed like a catastrophe at the time, but I figured we could probably turn a negative into a positive by informing others of what not to do. Don't open certain software. Make sure you have, a lot of the dual authentication. And the biggest thing is also some feedback to YouTube, because someone was able to immediately gain partial ownership of our channel, which I think that should be a 30-day process. If you're a creator and you allow somebody to have, partial or full control of your channel, there should be a review in place. And I know that might be a lot of paperwork or red tape for YouTube and Google, but I think it could prevent a lot of these problems in the future.
So when you guys first found out, were you guys all freaking out? I mean, was it like this is your guys' livelihood, right?
Yeah. I mean, deep inside, I knew that YouTube has kind of a time machine where they can, take things back to where they were, almost like a save button in a video game. You just save to where you were before.
Reset, yeah.
But you freak out and then you don't. I think you have to maintain some sort of composure, rally your community, yet don't go in there with pitchforks and torches, demanding that YouTube do whatever you want. It's just like, hey, bear with us. Yeah. Don't click on any links. Don't watch these videos. We're going to be back. But a few of us were freaking out pretty hard.
We heard of just about a week before it happened, another creator, but only had about 60,000 subscribers, but had worked years to get that, and they just ended up restarting their channel. And I feel like that seems like
oh my god,
get a hold of YouTube, but I don't know how much YouTube cares about a small channel or not.
Especially if you don't have a direct line, like you said, you have an agent, so that was probably really helpful. You already have a connection there, whereas a lot of creators are just, they sign up and they start their channel and that's kind of it. That's their only connection. And it also must have been reassuring to have another way to reach your community outside of YouTube. Like, how do you feel like your Facebook and Twitter accounts factored into this? Yeah.
We stay very engaged with our community on all social media. That's one of the biggest reasons we have such a positive community, because we interact with them. We know their stories, and they know ours. It's so the communication is constant, regardless of content going up or not. We're always, wondering what they're doing or asking them about things that they would like to see from us. And when you do that and you're constantly talking to them, they're going to hear you, they're going to spread it. And it was it was a godsend that they were able to be on board with us and not just, hit the unsub button and run away.
Right.
I wonder, considering how YouTube has really moved in the direction of, algorithmically showing people videos rather than relying on the subscription feed page, that if you did have to start over, like how much time it would really have taken to build back up to where you were, like would people who have watched you, religiously just have found you in your new channel, whatever that was, and then you would be back into everyone's algorithms, in their homepage again as it was, as it is now. Like if you could have a bunch of followers who never watch your videos, and even though you're showing up in the subscription feed, but if they're not watching your videos, you're not on their homepage, then it's not like you're getting views from those people anyway. Yeah. So I wonder if for a channel that has, let's see, you guys are at like 1.9 million, if your followers would just sort of organically find you again without even trying, just through the algorithm.
It's hard to say because I think YouTube has an ever-changing algorithm, and it's hard to guess where it's going and what it's doing. I think a lot of times, and I'm just guessing, YouTube wants you to see the content that it wants you to see. And it's hard to say without actually being in that position.
Yeah.
You would hope that they would find it. When you talk about knowing your audience and knowing your subscribers and knowing everybody who's logged into YouTube and has a YouTube account, you would say, okay, I know you should watch this, and do it within good faith of what that person actually wants to watch, not what YouTube wants that person to watch.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements of like, other people who watch the same types of videos as you do also watch this other channel, which makes me think that, perhaps if there's overlap between your channel and other channels where, in sort of the way that works, they would find that that crossover ends up making its way back to the homepage, regardless. But either way, how much are you guys affected by the hack today? Like, are you seeing the ripples of the hack in your analytics?
Not really. I feel like there was a dip. There was definitely a dip, obviously, when we weren't uploading content. But I think because of the social interaction that we had, we actually grew socially, and then we're right back up in no time to where we were, maybe even a little bit better. Last time I looked, it was a little bit better as far as like watch time. And I think when it's a negative into a positive when you generate a buzz. This was definitely not a stunt or anything, but it generated a buzz, and I think maybe some of those dormant subscribers caught on to it and were like, hey, you know what? I haven't watched those guys in a while. Maybe I'll, jump back in. Yeah. And we actually saw some of that interaction in social media, on Twitter a lot, where people were like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys were hacked. I actually haven't watched you in a while, but I'm watching again. I'm binging on, your GTA series or 7 Days.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it seems like there would be a group of people who would be incentivized at that point to go, holy cow, YouTube can take away this feed of mine, overnight. And when I say YouTube, I mean just sort of all the things that happen on YouTube. And that if it's possible, I guess, that YouTube, could have chosen not to help you or something. But at any rate, there's an incentive there to say, okay, well, I guess if I really care about these people's content, I better follow them in other places as well. In case this happens again, I'll be up to speed. So
you guys were also hacked on Hank and Jed, is that right?
Yes.
So was the process the same there? Did you guys have the same amount of subscriber loss? I know that, it's not terribly active on Hank and Jed anymore, right?
Right. Well, we had some subscriber loss, and we weren't so concerned with that channel. The biggest thing we were concerned with is getting the videos off of there that were streaming all the Bitcoin scams.
Yeah.
That was important to us because we didn't want any of our community to watch it and then buy into it, and all of a sudden, they've lost their farm. But yeah, you saw a loss there. Didn't really see too much new action because we don't draw a lot of attention to it. We're not very active on social media with Hank and Jed, even though there's tons of content on there that we think is really great. We just mostly focus on Neebs Gaming because, that's what's relevant right now.
Well, and you guys shifted to Neebs Gaming from Hank and Jed, right? Just in the idea of the amount of time it takes to produce a video. Is that right?
Yeah. And honestly, YouTube doesn't reward animation anymore. Yeah. So back in the day, you'd make pretty good money off of animation on YouTube, and not so much anymore. And the amount of time, energy, effort, money, all this stuff that goes into animation, you're putting all this work into it, and you're getting very little. Gaming, very much the opposite. Even though we do put more work probably than anyone I've seen on YouTube as far as into gaming videos.
Right.
You get a much larger reward out of it monetarily, and you still get to be creative.
Are you guys seeing that the extra reward that you get from the gaming channels, that happen because you're able to put out more videos on a regular basis, or is it really like each individual video actually performs better than an animated video?
Well, it's both. So we're able to produce more. Everybody puts out a video. So everybody on the channel edits something and puts out a video. So we're able to crank out a lot of content. It's also long form content. So with that long form content, we're able to put mid-roll ads in there. And so those are going to perform way better than any 5-minute animated thing that we do. Even if we brought back probably our biggest series, Battlefield Friends, it would probably make a 30-minute or even 25-minute ARC video would make more money than a Battlefield Friends video.
Yeah.
And take a fraction of the time, I guess.
Yeah, right. You have the advantage of being able to be that consistent, which the algorithm seems to like the consistency of it, in addition to like just a larger audience searching for ARC videos, for instance, or Minecraft videos or whatever.
It's really smart. I've been incredibly jealous of gaming channels for the sake of, it's like, I'm going to pick the game of the day, and I'm going to do something in it, and I can play it for an hour, and I just made an hour's worth of content, and I'm going to go have dinner. Whereas, the producer for the video is like, I'm still planning the video. I haven't even shot yet, and so it seems to fit really well. And I think you guys are really smart to make that shift, obviously. But it's, that's what it was the sound design that first brought me is like, I'm like, they sound like they're in a cave. That's awesome. And just the little things like that. I'm like, this is more enriched, just even to like, you have an establishing shot, like, I know where the scene is happening.
And it's cool that you're able to integrate the storytelling stuff from, I assume that's part of the motivation for wanting to do animation is storytelling and find a way to still do that in an efficient way that works for the platform. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's funny because whenever we go into a video, say it's ARC, we'll have some goals. We don't really have a beginning and end. It's like, well, I want to do A, B, and C, and we just kind of play and see what happens. Usually each recording is on average 1.5 to 2 hours. And then we'll hand it to the editor. And it's about a week turnaround time for him to just cut it, do all the sound design, all the magic that goes into it. But it's funny because like people think that it's scripted, and it's just us improvising to situations and we're reacting because we're not that good at playing these games. So usually, bad things happen, which makes great content.
It makes good drama and exactly.
So as you guys are recording for 2 hours or whatever, how much of that ends up on the cutting room floor?
Average ARC video is around 25 minutes, so we record for hour and a half. A lot of it ends up on the cutting room floor.
Oh, okay, so you guys aren't taking an hour and a half or 2 hours and making several videos out of it. That's to make one video.
That's a full one recording. An hour and a half is one video.
Because you guys go from scene to scene. Is it typical to do? I mean, and for you guys, it's like a setting, right? Like it's like you're doing something, and that's the scene. Do you move on? I mean, do you guys have to redo it often? Do you do often different takes? Like that wasn't funny, we're going to do it again, or?
Well, we don't do different takes. If something doesn't happen, we just kind of move on from that. Yeah, it's not anything where it's a different take. It's just like, okay, nothing really happened here. Let's just move on to this and see if something happens. Usually we have an A/B story. So one group will do their thing. The other group's kind of waiting in a safe spot on the map somewhere. And once the first scene is done, then those people will hold. We go to B story and so on.
And what's the reason that you do those at separate times? You're all in the same room? Is that or
all in the same room?
So if you had separate rooms, you could do it all at the same time, I guess, right? Or
well, not really, because we have one spectator. So spectator's getting all the cool shots.
Right.
And since we have one, he's got to bounce back and forth. Luckily, within all the games, all the games that we do, they're pretty much able to teleport to different parts of the map.
That's convenient.
Okay, so I actually have a couple more questions about the logistics here, but before we get to them, I want to just take a quick break, and we'll be right back. For years, Videomaker has been producing quality video training to help you take your video skills to the next level. Now you can access it all from a Videomaker Plus account. We've got courses covering everything from learning how to navigate your camera with our course on camera controls and settings, to learning about color grading, or even how to start a video business. Videomaker Plus has something for you. The Videomaker library is split into 4 levels. If you're just starting, try our inexpensive starter level membership, which gets you access to essential video training and a digital subscription to Videomaker magazine. For the most professional training, go all the way up to our professional tier membership, which gives you access to our entire library of training, which covers advanced concepts like running a video business or becoming a documentary filmmaker. Plus, the professional tier is the only membership with access to our popular webinar recordings. Plus, right now, for a limited time, you can get the professional tier of Videomaker Plus for the price of the creative tier. That's $100 savings. Sign up at videomaker.com/springdeal. That's videomaker.com/springdeal. Okay, we're back. So, regarding the recording logistics, this is really like a performance, right? You guys aren't necessarily just, playing games like people normally would. So how does that work while you're recording? Do you have someone who's literally like playing the role of director and, as you're doing something, they'll make a decision like, okay, now let's go do this thing and we'll try to make something happen over here, or is it a really collective effort?
Yeah, usually whoever's running spectator is the showrunner in a way, and they'll let us know, okay, I'll probably cut right here, you guys hold, we'll move on to this group. So whoever's running the spectator cam is usually acting as the director.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And do you start out with like an organized, I don't want to call it a script, but kind of a script, like an outline of, first we're going to go try this, and then when that's done, we're going to move on to this other thing, or is it really more free-flowing?
Yeah, we just have goals. Okay, this is my goal for today is to tame this dinosaur. God, I feel weird saying that because I'm in my 40s. I'm talking about taming dinosaurs. But no, it's just a list of goals, and whatever happens within there is hopefully the magic that gets put into the videos. And sometimes you just don't have that great of a recording, which you rely on the editor to punch up a few things to make it better. But most of the time, there's never been a case where, I won't say never, but there's hardly ever a case where we record and it's like, we can't use this. Nothing happened. This was terrible.
So you guys don't, you're really an improv group is really that plays video games. And so, but you guys didn't set off to be an improv group. So how's the process been learning your roles? Did you all start with the yes and thing, or how do you guys play off? I mean, obviously you know each other well, but I'm sure that interaction has been something you've had to learn over time. Huh?
Actually, that's how it started. Everything that we've done has been improv, going back to our animated series Duralius and Associates. That was a animated series, kind of a parody of Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, and we would have an outline and we would just go with it. There was no script. And we found that doing that, there's much more gold there with the interaction with our group. We know each other, and we really knew our characters and how they would react to one another. And that sort of transgressed into the other shows that we've done. Battlefield Friends was the same thing. We never had a real script. We did a feature film where we just did an outline and just went with it. And we were able to cut it. It's messy a bit, but it works.
So you guys
it's just how we've been doing this from the beginning.
So then you'd be animating to the improv then, right? So
yes.
the improv comes first, and then the animation would come after that. That seems difficult.
Well, we'd get audio lock on something, so we'd have a bunch of takes.
Yeah.
Of scenes, and then we would cut it down to what we thought was tight and good, and then you animate to that. So you just cut it down to about a 5-minute video. It's as long as you have like a good audio lock and you don't have to go back and do anything,
right?
Then it's pretty easy. Dralis and Associates, and I think Battlefield Friends as well, that was 2 weeks turnaround time for everything. So from the start of audio to animation all the way to a finished product. And that was a big credit to Brent Triplett, or Neebs, because he animated most of those. And I mean, it's just like 110 hours a week. He's a nightmare to deal with when he's animating, though. We never want him to, we joke all the time, we never want him to animate again. Even if it's a 10-second opener for a car commercial. I don't care. Like, I just want him to be happy.
Yeah, that's an intense turnaround. And I can see why it took that long.
That workflow was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only a week longer than South Park. I mean, and South Park's got a huge machine with all sorts of money behind it, and you guys are doing it, and it'd probably be in topical as well, which is, that's pretty crazy.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So you said earlier, I think that see if I heard this correctly, that you each kind of rotate, or you're each editing a project like at a time. Is that the case, or everything goes to a single editor?
Yeah, so we have 3 full-time editors now that handle okay, so we have Alex. She handles Minecraft. Anthony, he handles Arc. One of our editors, and one of the characters on the show, John, or Apsro, he is actually taking time off to animate for his channel. So normally he would do like a lot of the cinematic stuff, like GTA stuff, and within GTA you've got the cinematic tools, the GTA editor, which you can keyframe camera movements. You have complete control of that world, which is incredible. And he was so good at that. But he's taken some time to work on some other things. You see a lot of guitars and stuff in the background. I do a lot of music for the channel. So most of what you see is, from me, is usually music.
That's cool.
And the other guys, one of our guys is on a podcast, and the other one is alternating with one of our other editors on the 7 Days series. So the cinematic stuff takes the longest.
This is quite a production for a gaming channel, and all these folks are working full time.
Yes.
So you guys have really stumbled on something good here, right? Like we've kind of done the math backwards, right? On this, how many subscribers do you need? How many views do you need to basically earn the equivalent of a middle class income? And I think the ballpark that we came up with was, once you hit 1 million subscribers, you can live off of your channel. But you guys have produced a number of jobs with 1.9 million.
Yeah, not just for one person, one creator. It's a whole team.
So how long did it take you guys to the point where at least one person or more was earning their living off the channel?
I want to say that 6 years ago is when everybody, all the main 5 of us, just stopped doing our other jobs and went all in on Neebs Gaming.
Wow, so 1.9 million today. You guys must have been in the low hundreds of thousands at the time.
Yeah, like we weren't making very much, but we were getting by beginning. And I had a pretty good corporate job at the time, to where my last day at work, I was sick to my stomach. I was like, please, oh my God, this is the biggest leap of faith that I've ever taken. I'm going to throw up. And it paid off.
Because you guys, I mean, you also have really the foundation of having a quite a large Patreon support there as well, right?
Patreon pays for our editors. So those three are being supported by our patrons, who have been awesome. We have a very, very solid and supportive Patreon group.
Yeah.
And we try to take care of them the best that we can. But they pay for the editors, and some of the other content that's non-gaming. Like we'll still do some animation stuff based off games, but obviously that costs more money to make, and we'll outsource that to some really, really good animators that are might be smaller channels on YouTube, but deserve way more than what they have.
Yeah.
So you guys, say you guys tape an episode today. How long until that video is actually published? So you said it takes a week to produce, but how far ahead are you guys working in advance?
We try to stay at least 2 weeks ahead, but normally it's about a week. So if we recorded an episode, for instance, we recorded a 7 Days to Die and a Minecraft yesterday. Those will come out next week. And it's always on a set day. So Minecraft is always on Monday. 7 Days is always on Friday. Arc is always on Saturday. And then Sunday's kind of it's usually a cinematic day, but it's a coin toss between some different stuff, because we sort of rotate some games.
So you're going back and forth between Minecraft and 7 Days to Die, and a lot of, like, that's a pretty big, like, I mean, they have similarities, but genre-wise, the theme is much different. Do you feel like your performances are affected by that kind of thing? Like, depending on what game you're playing, how does your character change?
They don't. It's just, I think when we've been working together for so long, that our personalities, I guess the character personalities, which are just very heightened versions of us as real people, interact the same way. We argue the same way, and we do things wrong the same way. And we each have our strengths. We each have our strengths in certain areas. I've sort of ducked out of the Minecraft world. I'm not a big fan of playing it, and that's the nice thing, is that if you don't have fun playing something, you don't have to play it. No one's forcing you. And we also want to be very authentic and not fake it, because our audience can tell.
Yeah, and it's hard to be enthusiastic.
He doesn't like this.
Yeah.
So you didn't play on the one yesterday, or you did, or you're gonna be ducking out, or?
I think yesterday's was the first one that I wasn't in, and I might make some appearances here and there, but for the most part, I came from the shooter genre, shooters and RPGs. That was my genre, and we don't really do RPGs on the channel. And when we first started the channel, Battlefield, that's what made us who we are today. And I still play shooters in my spare time. But when there's games where there's a bit more action and they don't look as cartoony, I'm in on those.
And Arc's been a very a good category for you guys, since they come out with so much so often. You'll hopefully have continued success with that, right?
Yeah. They just came out with Arc Genesis, which is a new map. Actually, several new weird. It's almost like different dimensions. It'll be different, but we have to finish the current map that we're on, which we're going to take our time on that. There's no hurry, because again, we can create the narrative.
You guys aren't really trying to beat a game. You're trying to make content with the game, right? I mean, I imagine you get to a stopping point, like Conan, like you get to the end of the game, right? Yeah.
Conan was really fun, and I would love to go back into that world, but it seemed like it was a good time to end that and to actually beat the game, or at least one person to beat the game. With Arc, we know that that's our our highest performing game or series, but we still just want to get in there and have fun. It's a sandbox, and you can just play all day. You don't really have to, get all the artifacts and beat whatever you have to beat. You can go in there and do whatever you want. I mean, I opened up a resort in there.
Do you feel like it's harder?
Space is still available for sale if you're,
really?
If you're interested.
Do you feel like it's like easier or harder to make a narrative from those like more open-ended games versus the ones that are like very like much more directed?
Oh, it's much easier. I mean, the ones that are much more directed, they end up being they're like playthroughs. It's like a let's play. So we're not able to really get into spectator. God of War was a good example where it's an amazing game that had such a fantastic story, score. Everything was perfect about that game. And we just played it. And it was me playing or one of the other guys playing, and a couple of us were watching and just making comments. And they do fine, but it's not the content we like to sink our teeth into, because we can't control a lot of it. Once we can control things, camera, story, then we're like kids in a candy store.
Well, the happy mix of that is like Subnautica, right? You guys had a really awesome storyline that made it make sense that there's more than one person on an abandoned planet and everything. But the playthrough there was really, I mean, I think I've watched quite a few different creators play through Subnautica, and I've watched you guys multiple times just because it's like, it's not just the game. We're enjoying you guys' back and forth. I guess that's really all the shows. It's you guys bickering.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, Subnautica was unique in that it was a single player game, but we were able to make it seem like there was somebody else in there, being, someone from HQ. You
guys got to start Sub-Zero. They got expansion. You guys can continue that story.
I guess that one's a little bit different. I don't know. There's a reason why we haven't done it.
It's still in beta, I know that much.
And I don't think that there's an end yet, maybe. And I think that's what we're waiting on.
I wanted to ask, like, how do you select your next game? Like, are you just gonna go with what's popular, or is there certain criteria that a game has to meet?
We don't go with what's popular. Okay. We'd be playing Fortnite if we did that, and we all don't like Fortnite.
You are playing Minecraft again, though. Come on.
Oh God. They like it. They like it. I just can't. I can't. But yeah, we just keep an eye out for open world games where you can build, you can manipulate the world, or just have fun. Yeah. I think that's what it boils down to. If we can get in there, and once again, going back to making a narrative and also having fun, then you're going to get something good out of us. Or we think we're going to get something good. It's not always the case, but
so there are obvious qualities that are required when you're choosing the game, right? Like those that you just mentioned of you have to enjoy it and you have to be able to make content out of it. But from an audience perspective, does the game really matter much, or are you finding that people tune in really just to because of you guys, as people, how you interact with each other, your personalities, and really they'll watch whatever game you play, or are people like, I really only want to watch the Minecraft stuff, or?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. But there are certain people that will not watch Minecraft, but they'll watch Ark or 7 Days. And I think, the majority of it is us. But I think you do have part of your audience that doesn't want to see you play a certain game, or they're just tired of, what you do on Ark, or maybe they want to see, something new. But for the most part, people come for us. And sometimes I even say, because you'll have content creators that are just, they play a game for 30 minutes and that's what they upload. They don't do anything with it, and they'll get 10 times more views than we will. But we put a ton of work into it, and I almost equate it into like decorating a birthday cake for a dog. Sometimes we put so much work. It's like we almost overwork it, but at the end of the day, you have a really, really good product, even though a dog's going to eat it.
That's yeah. That's
we
what
can sleep at night doing that though.
That's what drew me in. Is really that cinematic part of it, and that of course intrigued me as a video producer of just like, oh, how are they doing that? Oh, that's clever. And I mean, even down to like naming your dinosaurs after Patreon. What are they called? Subscribers?
Patrons.
Patrons. Oh,
patrons.
Yeah.
Yes.
I should just, but it's just clever being able to pull that stuff in there. Like I said, I wish that there was vehicles for regular video production in that same ease, I guess, and of course quality of entertainment. I mean, it would take, I think, a lot more effort to script, and it probably wouldn't be even nearly as fun. And you need good actors to read those lines rather than an improv group, which is really a lot of authentic, real interactions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you imagine if like Scorsese had a Patreon? He's like, hey, if you donate this much, I'll name a character after you.
People would.
I bet that actually already happens, but it's just not public. You get a.
Oh, gotcha.
You get an executive producer role, and a character's named after you.
Yeah, I bet you there's some executive producers that totally have gotten themselves into stories just because they brought some money.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, funny story. When we did a second season of Duralius and Associates, and we did a Kickstarter for it, and one of our top donors was I don't know if you've heard of it, the Aussie Man.
Oh yeah,
have you heard of that guy? He comments on
I follow him.
And this is great. Before he had a channel.
Yeah,
and our top donors, we actually drew them and put them as extras. So I don't know if I drew him or I colored him. But I did one or both, and then he became this like successful YouTuber, this content creator who's like interviewing The Rock and Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and all those folks, which is awesome. He's a really, really great guy. We reached out to him since, and that's cool. He's down to collab. We just want to do something that makes sense.
You just got to get to Australia. I always like that he always introduces himself. This is my bloody face, or swears or whatever. But I was like, it's fantastic, and like his videos are so short too. It'd be like him talking about one viral video, and then get a bunch of views on it. I'm like, man, I wish I was funny because then I could actually do that. But it's pretty amazing what becomes successful on YouTube that wouldn't on any other platform in any other way. And you guys are making more traditional media, with making stuff. I mean, down to credits and that kind of stuff at the beginning of the show that no one would even think of if they weren't in our generation. The kids that are younger, what's credits? What's appointment television? What's you don't understand any of that stuff. That's not even a reality for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I got a question here that might put you on the spot. If you don't have an answer for this, we'll just cut it out.
Okay.
But we tend to ask this kind of thing. So, if you had one like YouTube secret for our viewers and listeners about how they could better run their YouTube channel, aside from the sort of common thing that we get, which is be yourself on camera or whatever it was.
Upload every day.
Yeah. What's your secret? What's your one secret to YouTube success?
I don't know. I mean, you just have the common ones that are consistency. Make sure it's. I don't know, because there's people out there that are just uploading whatever, and their sound is terrible, and I don't think there's really a recipe. It's just, it depends. On our end, we want to be consistent. We want everything to sound right. It's got to be perfect. And if it's not, and you upload something and there's a black frame in there, like, oh, no, you'll hear it for days.
Oh yeah.
So
people
yeah. I'll say this right now. I stay in my lanes. Like, I'm the worst editor out of the whole team. And I mean, I can still do the cinematic stuff, but the other guys are just so good at it and just have really, they have it down. But if there's a questionable decision from anyone, and this keeps everybody on their toes, it's like you have to bring your best. So I guess that's it. Just do your best work when you think no one's looking,
and make sure it's consistent, I guess, right?
So
consistency.
Obviously, go ahead.
And one more thing, be engaged. I see people upload videos all the time, and I don't see any comments from them within the comments or on Twitter or or on Facebook. And I look at social media differently. I look at Facebook as a billboard, Twitter as a conversation, Instagram as behind the scenes. So you have, with Twitter, it's all these short conversations. I think the engagement there, it all flows, really nice between all mediums. And YouTube, especially, when you're engaged within your YouTube comments, that is going to really solidify your community. So if you can build a community, if you can build a culture within your channel, so they're just not watching content, they're a part of the community, then you're going to have more success.
You guys are lucky too, because it doesn't seem the comments are terribly mean. And your guys, I'm sure they were probably at one point. And maybe now they have defenders within there that'll take up the cause, so you guys don't have to in that way. But I mean, we don't get lots of views on our stuff, but still the mean comments still burn really hard. And it's like I just want to ignore this, but it's probably best to not.
See, I have no soul. So and most of the mean comments come to me because I'm sort of the asshole on the channel.
Sure.
There you go.
But yeah, it's just I think you have to have that. And again, it's kind of a heightened part of my personality, even though like I'm a friendly person. Like when you get into a gaming situation, I'm probably the competitive guy and the guy who's going to get mad about stuff a little quicker. And but
good drama.
Overall, we have a insanely positive community.
Totally.
And we get stories all the time about people who have met within the community and they're engaged, they're getting married, they're inviting us to their wedding, and we can't go, but we send them a postcard. So sweet. But it's insane. Like, again, we know their stories, the ones that have been there for so long, and we're doing live events and meetups. Like we've done RTX, and then obviously last year we had our own live event here in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're doing it again, and also planning a West Coast event.
Ooh, I'll go to the West Coast one.
Yeah, we're going to be in. This is a leak, by the way.
Nice.
We're going to be in Utah. That's as far west as we can go legally.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying why. I can't.
Utah. I don't know. That's not really west.
The fact that we know their faces.
Yeah.
We know them. We stay engaged with them, and that's the secret to our success, I guess, is staying engaged, know your audience, know them well.
I think that's a really good tip.
Yeah, for sure. That's really kind of the strength of independent online media generally, I guess, right?
Right.
That you can do that. Jimmy Fallon can't do that.
No.
Okay.
Well, good luck to him, though. He seems to, he's trying.
Yeah, I mean, it's working for him.
I think he has a future. And, of course, the payola to YouTube from NBC, that sure helps too, right?
Mm.
Okay. All right, Tony. Well, we're just about out of time, so thanks for joining us. I guess if anyone wants to check out Neebs Gaming, it looks like you guys are pretty easy to find if you just Google Neebs Gaming. All of your things pop up. But is there anywhere else you want to send people to your personal social media or anything like that?
If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's twitter.com/NeebsOfficial, facebook.com/Neebs Gaming, and Neebs Gaming on Instagram. So those are the only other places besides YouTube. I would just, go to YouTube first, watch all of our content, and give it a chance. All over 1,000 videos now.
Watch every one of them and all the way to the end.
And then decide if you like them after that.
Like it and comment.
Make a decision after the first 1,000.
Whether you want to keep watching.
I don't know if I've watched all 1,000, but I've definitely watched quite a few of those over and over again. So we really appreciate your
I'll check in next
content.
Week.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, thanks so much for giving us some of your time.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thanks again to Tony of Neebs Gaming for joining us. You can check out their channel at Neebs Gaming on YouTube. You can go to Neebs Gaming on Facebook if you want to follow them there, or on Twitter at Neebs Official. For Nicole Lajeunesse, Chris Monlux, and everyone here at Videomaker, I'm Mike Wilhelm, and you've been listening to the Videomaker Podcast. We'll catch you next time.